what we are expecting is a growing conformity of views on what is surely the most difficult, the most menacing contemporary problem, which is the problem of terrorism. And I think the equally troublesome problem of those who provide sanctuaries to terrorists.
By which you mean Pakistan, or the disputed area of Kashmir. And I just wonder on that point, in terms of the arms sales that you've done with the United States, $10 billion, I think, over the past decade, how concerned are you, as some commentators believe, that the United States is using India as a proxy in the region to try and keep China's territorial ambitions at bay?
India really has a very secure understanding of its own needs and requirements, and we are very proud and confident about our ability to do our own take our own security measures.
America, Washington is supporting your bid for a seat on the UN Security Council. Is that something else that will come into the negotiations, perhaps?
In fact, we're very happy that America has taken a public position, which you mentioned in your question. I think the reform of United Nations has to happen, absolutely has to happen. You know, I often think of the year 2030. The year 2030 will mark the 100th anniversary of the League of Nations. And does the United Nations want to go, the way of the League of the Nations? And unless it reforms, unless it reflects the contemporary world, and unless it realizes that the veto cannot be the private possession of the 5 victors of World War II.
So unless reform happens, the UN will go down in history as the League of Nations.
Well, I mean, who knows what will happen by 2030, but those tasked by history to look ahead should look a little behind as well.
Talking of the United Nations and other relief agencies in the region and the ongoing crisis with the Rohingya Muslims in Bangladesh, what do you as a Muslim feel about 1 million people having crossed the border from Myanmar because of persecution there?
I look at this problem not as a Muslim or a Hindu. I look at this problem as an Indian. And my political identity, my identity is that of an Indian on such issues. I do not accept the conjugation of faith with my nationalism.
Okay, well, forgive me on that point, but just in terms of the Rohingyas themselves, your country has publicly stated support for Bangladesh. What should happen, though, to the refugees at the moment in the camps in Bangladesh who are living in appalling conditions?
We have urged that the nations involved, which is Burma, Bangladesh, we as friends of both.
But should they be repatriated to Myanmar?
We believe that those refugees should go back. Then they must go back in conditions of security. In the meantime, it is what we have done, we urge the rest of the world to do, is that while these problems sort themselves out, we must provide aid to the refugees. We must improve their living conditions.
Do you accept, though, what aid agencies are describing as ethnic cleansing in Rakhine State by the authorities in Myanmar?
That may be the language of aid agencies, but I think...
and by UN officials as well.
Yeah, that may be the language that certain officials choose to... But let us really seek to calm the situations and find our way towards solutions. There is no percentage really in using provocation when there is such a human crisis.
But are you satisfied with the response by Aung San Suu Kyi, for example, who denies any of these charges?
Well, I'm sure that as an elected and an important leader of a country, she has a very fair understanding of what requires to be done. A British former assistant of Harvey
Weinstein says that she was paid more than $160,000 to keep quiet after accusing the film producer of sexual harassment. Zelda Perkins has told